Hello, everyone, and welcome to this Angels and Stars guidance video for the period 22nd of August to 7th of September 2021. I'm Nāthan Theo Naicker, and I'm joined with my friend Michelle. Hi, Michelle.
Hi, everyone. Nice to be here.
Yes, so we are progressing through this year, and we have come to another full moon experience that is at the beginning of this 2 week period. And we have a full moon in the southern hemisphere happening in tropical Leo here, in the sign of tropical Leo. And what this means is those themes of reconstruction of ourself and our identity, and keeping the focus on things that we need to keep focus on to grow for our personal growth, and standing up for ourselves in our life is continuing. It's a big theme for this year. And you can see in this chart specifically, there's a lot of strong connections to Mercury and Mars, and also Venus and Uranus as well in Scorpio. So we're going to be discussing these themes with you and providing guidance on these factors going forward. If you would like a personalized combined session with Michelle and myself for an hour, then contact us and we can arrange that for you. Okay, so our first message for this time is at the beginning, as we go into to speak to this feeling of being overwhelmed by many things that is needing to be done in our day, in our lives, that looming to-do list that is growing, that is necessarily growing, because there's so many things that we need to grow into. But we're feeling a bit frustrated because that feeling of overwhelmed with things, so the frustration can build up. It's not necessarily with one person or one thing. It's a bit vague because it's sort of underlying that sense of mild irritability, that we're on edge all the time. And, it's like you're opening the fridge at night and don't know what to eat. Why did I open the fridge? But I'm opening the fridge, that's happened to me a couple of times. So the impulsiveness becomes something because we're wanting to have a reaction, we're wanting to take control. And sometimes we just want to do something. And that can be impulsive eating, impulsive spending, and just having reactions that we otherwise, under normal circumstances, would not have. So the feeling of a lot of pressure on ourselves is the overwhelming of the things we have decided to become, is what we're having to face. And so there's a great need to maintain focus. And that's why we've got a picture here of a focused camera lens, because that's sort of kind of what we have to do. Be a bit more selective, practice being selective, practice filtering out what I can focus on for this 40 minutes, take a break, come back the next 40 minutes, one target activity at a time. It can be very good for doing your own things, but there's a call to personal bravery here in this specific way. So meditation, other practices that can help you with focus are going to be very helpful.
You know what I've found the best recipe for overwhelmed to be is when you have that overwhelmed feeling and that anxious feeling. The best recipe is always get back to basics, So we would maybe sit and we'll breathe, or we'll go, okay, back to the drawing board. So getting back to basics. When it comes to divine guidance, getting back to basics means getting back to faith, hope, and love. That's the foundation of who we truly are. And faith creates focus. So, we always say, I have faith, I believe in it. But then sometimes just before we break through, then we walk away from it. Because that faith must go hand in hand with trust. You have to trust in your vision, trust in your dream, and trust in yourself. You know what the spiritual law of faith says, and I'm just reminded of it now. It says, the spiritual law of faith says, if you have total faith in a vision or an end result, it will come to pass. It's almost like that connection with the universe, that we know that something is true, but I don't even have the tangible proof of it yet. So if you're losing focus, remember that faith keeps your focus, looking through this lens and going, I can see that. I have faith, I'm going there. And just in this moment, picking up the faith, trust in yourself, and you'll find that courage that's needed here.
Yes. Thank you. So our second message that's here to help us is about emotional oversensitivity. As a result of the weak sense of direction that we may be feeling in our lives, maybe we are absorbed too much influences from outside, or we're holding on to too many feelings and emotions that are not being processed. They can be about the past, they can be about the future also. But we're not feeling in the flow of things, and that emotional sort of stuckness that goes with that lack of sense of direction can drive the sensitivity to the reactionary sort of way of doing things. And whatever it makes, whatever we want to do, that much more difficult to get into and to stay into, because we're not feeling it. And yeah, we're not feeling it. So you may feel like you're going through something slowly, or it's taking more effort, you need to take more breaks. That's a good way to manage the stress with the body, take frequent breaks and go back into it. But that the feeling of I am doing something with purpose and meaning is something that we need to have restored. So maybe if you're learning something, make it not so monotonous or robotic. Whatever you're doing, try and make it experiential. Try to also experience what you're doing. How can if I'm learning something, well, how can I think about it in a different way, to experience it in a different way? Stop holding things inside, whether these are secrets or fears or inhibitions. Speak them out as well and let go, so that you can reconnect to a new way of looking at things. And this is why I've chosen the picture here of a castle across this great chasm or ravine, because it feels like that. We are here on this side of this bridge, this little rickety bridge over here. But it's that rickety bridge that's going to help us. And
Yes.
when you were a child, you believed in fairy tales, you believed in stories, your imagination helped you. Why are children just coping? They are playful, they are bouncing around, they have great comeback ability. It's because the power of the imagination keeps them in that creative flow, because you create out of your imagination. And so believing in a fairy tale is not something trivial, it's not something only for children. You need to create that fairy tale for what you want, where you're going in your life. And just keep reminding yourself, okay, that's where I'm going to. That's across the bridge here. I just got to cross this rickety, windy bridge, and I'm there. I'm going to be there, and believe in that and lighten up with it. So meditation, art, music, these creative pursuits can help you receive guidance, because we can receive guidance, but really receiving it means that it aligns with what we've imagined for ourselves that we are creating. So it can be a wonderful time to receive guidance in the flow of your own creative energy, but it now has that direction.
I'm reminded of our superpower that is imagination, and again, it's back to basics, that believing like a child, imagine like a child, whether it is visualization, whether it is, you say, just closing your eyes and walking across the bridge and believe in your heart that you're walking towards the guidance, or you're walking towards that fairy tale. Hope is the one energy that opens up the heart like this. The whole time you were speaking and connecting with this image, it stirred my heart. Perhaps maybe also reminding you of, when you were a child and how you played these imaginary games. And hope is our fairy tale. If you have hope, it lifts your vibration, and it says, what is here now that can bring me hope? How can I think differently? How can I see differently? How can I imagine? How can I feel differently to bring hope back again, to believe in a better outcome for myself and others? And the physical body is a great tool here, because if you ever felt that uplifting feeling, if you all of a sudden stretch your spine and you look up, you just look up. We're so used to looking down or bending down, but if you physically, when last did you look up again? So physically you can look up, it just feels like you've got hope again. So look up, stretch your spine. And then just a quick tip that you can do is to have a technology break an hour before you go to bed and an hour, the first hour when you wake up. Because just think about it, this world that we're seeing here is beautiful. The most powerful times in your vibration, in your imagination, is that first hour when you wake up and the last hour before you fall asleep. And what do you do in those hours? Are you on technology to switch off? So just try in the first hour of the morning to have a technology break, because everything in technology removes me from the love and the hope and the faith because of the news and the fear.
Yes.
So what if in the first hour you have a tea outside, or you read a spiritual book or inspirational quotes without technology? And same for the last hour before you go to bed, or spend that time in nature, and then you will connect with the energy of hope. Look up, find your way to hope again, and bring in your imagination the good things. The good
Yes.
things.
Yeah, not imagining all the conspiracies and the what.
Absolutely.
Because, it affects our creative ability. It really hampers our creative ability.
And especially, you don't want to wake up with those thoughts. You
I
don't want to
know.
go to bed, fall asleep,
Yes, yeah. Strange
Love this
bedfellows.
image. I love the vibration that this image brings. We must really get back to the spirit of imagination.
Yes, thought it was a fun little photo.
Yes.
So coming on the wake of the overwhelmness and the lack of connection and creativity, there can be a lot of pressure on our relationships. There can be a lot of pressure and intensity on a demanding nature for love and connection, because we're having the lack of that feeling of love and affection. And maybe it's also the way things are happening. It's not easy to accept love and affection in the way that someone can give it to us at this time. Or we're also not able to give it as much as we used to, or in the same way that we used to. And so one is dealing with these mutual demands and concerns that people have in relationships, and, not being able to meet all those commitments, tick all those boxes for someone, or not have all your boxes ticked by someone else, and not wanting to look at that, but ignore that and rushing ahead into some other diversion, because we don't want to look at
Yeah.
that ugly thing in the corner. And
Yeah.
that we can't escape from our own feelings of love needs. We need to look at them, we need to hug them. And yes, we may want that immediate sense of love and affection or even demand it, but love is not a race, it's not a competition.
Mm.
And because if we work in that vibration, it drives the love energy into extremes of manifestation and control, which is not healthy, and which we can regret later. So, impulsive spending, impulsive shopping, the impulsivity of this time is quite high in many
Mm.
ways. We can understand that. We're having financial issues with someone, where the exchange is not equal, where the input
Mm.
into your partnership is not equal, also features here. So the advice was to just shift the focus from the one-to-one relationship. Those might be strained at the moment because they're going through a necessary change. Fine.
Yes.
But we
Mm.
still, while that's happening, we still need to feel love and affection from somewhere. So
Mm.
look at where that is happening in your life. Look at your friendships. Look at your pets. Look at your other things in your life that you should put your effort into to maintain those
Mm.
relationships, those friendships, those connections with other people. Send a message. How are you? I
Yeah.
value that you're part of my life. These are the things we need to start saying to people in our
Yes.
lives, because we receive that as well that way. So experience the deeper love in other ways, in other relationships, besides that one-to-one relationship that you have.
Mm. And it can so often, just that one to one can sometimes consume us,
Mm,
and
mm,
we can ponder so much on what is wrong or what is missing or what needs to be fixed or what is imbalanced, that we lose that connection with others, and we lose that connection with compassion
yeah,
and nurturing, almost, because aren't we so harsh with our self-talk? And then it spills over into our conversations with others.
mm-hmm,
Yes.
mm-hmm.
I have a secret speaker, and I want to share this with everybody today. There's like a secret invisible speaker in front of my heart, and I can choose when I switch it on or switch it off. So when I switch it on, I turn up the volume. And I just imagine all these thoughts of love, words of love, energies of love just speaking through my heart. It's just coming out and it's just pouring out. And when I have a session or a meeting, or I feel particularly low, or I'm meeting with friends, or whenever I feel I want to feel that love connection with others, I switch this on. And whether you have a Zoom coffee date, or whether you have an online game, or whether you chat over a call, this energy is not separated by space or distance, whatever. It is there. So if you put on this speaker of love in your conversations, in seeking out other connections or making time for people, it's so powerful, and try it. And by the way, it might also just create a difference in that one-to-one relationship.
True.
If there's one energy that replaces harshness and that removes or softens judgment, it's this love, this divine love that's within you. We just have to switch on the speaker. And when you need it the most and you switch it on, it returns to you. Because the more love you give, the more love you will receive. And then you just find that everyone's kind to you and they're so friendly to you, and you don't understand why. It's the secret love speaker.
They may have been doing that with you anyway. You just were not seeing it, But now you're in that
Yes.
vibe, and you're like, oh my God, the sunlight coming through the trees. Hey, that's good, So
Yes.
when we are in joy or in love, we see
Yes.
that more around us because our
Absolutely.
feeling is what attracts things to us. Um,
Yes. Yeah, it's just powerful, and I
mm,
love this what you said now, because if you can do this for self-love before
mm,
you do it for another, yes, the world will look beautiful. And then you will find that connection to hope, and you will rise up in faith and in courage
yes,
to do what you need to do. You'll feel alive again. You'll feel loved.
yes,
And when we feel loved, we can achieve anything.
yeah. So getting out of those escapism, getting out of the heaviness of commitments,
Yeah.
let them be as they are. They are changing. Let them
Mm.
change. But you also
Yeah.
change. You also shift your focus and direction in this way with love and affection. Okay.
Yes, I think the recap is to remember that faith brings focus and trust that what you're doing is serving humanity and being on purpose. And the messages of hope is just look up, find the message of hope, look up, um, and imagine or visualize again. And on this note, perhaps we could share more messages of hope.
Yes.
You know,
Social media and WhatsApp and all those things.
yeah. And then I think to remember the tech break times, choose the technology breaks wisely so that it's a time, that time that you're so receptive to love or fear. And then I shared with you the speaker of love. Use that one. It really works. It's very healing. And I think, like when you started off, Nathan, is to trust your dream, you
Mm,
know, get that focus back by trusting in your dream.
yes. You are showing yourself that you have the power to create. And that's the lesson of this year, the rest of this year
Mm,
especially. So
mm,
it
mm,
bears repeating, but
mm,
you'll find when you look back, from end of the year, you look back to July, August, you understand in hindsight, those were necessary things that I did for myself, and I'm glad I did
mm,
it for myself. And it's good to have that sense of achievement and personal
mm.
veracity and integrity. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like this is where the courage comes from that you spoke about earlier.
Yes. Yes. This is lovely.
Archangels that heal. This is such a great teacher for us to connect with. We can receive divine wisdom through connecting with archangels that kill. And that little bridge you spoke about, can you see the light coming through
Mm.
there as well? So the solutions are in, thinking differently, seeing things differently. And it also speaks of self-control and patience. It speaks of
Mm.
forgiving and
Mm.
healing, which is all the things we spoke about. And therein lies the solutions. So Archangels that kill is such a great teacher, teaching us about forgiveness, grace, compassion, and receiving wisdom from it. Ultimately, the teacher of faith, hope, and love.
Yes. I find that people have this misconception that self-control is bad or is heavy or it's difficult or it's limitation.
Yeah.
And
Mm.
it's just about moderating your energies, focusing on the things you
Absolutely.
can focus on, do the things that you
Yeah.
can do right now. And sometimes
Yeah.
knowing where your boundaries are that you've set in place.
Yeah.
And honoring that is also self-control, but it's a lot more positive than people believe it to be. So again,
Yeah.
change the way you're looking at these things because this
Absolutely.
is solutions, right? Archangel Zekiel.
Yes, yes.
This is
And
the
it
key way to
returns you
solution.
to that. yeah, it returns you to that focus that you spoke about,
Yes, yes,
that is in essence. And when you go inward and you focus on thinking, seeing differently,
mm,
you've got to work with the inner qualities, the higher self qualities.
yes, yes. That
So
makes
just
sense.
for today, I return to faith, hope, and love. Use that affirmation every day.
Yes, every day, every hour. Yes,
Yes.
very needed. But also, I would maybe suggest like when you wake up and just when you're going to bed, just
Yes.
repeat this affirmation because it's also how you're ending the day. We need to learn how to end things properly, to have closure on things in our life. And that's also a facilitator of healing because then you sleep
Yes.
better, which is healing in itself.
Yes.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes. So let us know in the comments whether you, once you've tried the tech break, first thing when you wake up and last thing before you fall asleep, let us know if it's made a difference for you in your life.
Great, great.
Thank you so much.
Well, so thank you, everyone. And if you'd like a more personalized session with both Michelle and myself, you're welcome to avail of our services. We've created this special joint session for you to really have both the guidance of astrology and the wisdom of the angels in advising the path for you going ahead. Thank you very much, and Michelle, we speak again at the
Thank you so
next time.
much. Bye.
Everyone, bye bye.